She was created to be the perfect gift, but she was built to be the ultimate curse. A pawn in a war between gods and titans. You think you know the story of Pandora's box? Think again. This is the cold, hard truth of how humanity was shattered, and why hope was the cruelest trick of all. The story does not begin with a woman, but with a theft. The Titan Prometheus had a vision for humanity, not as slaves to Olympus, but as masters of their own destiny. Against the direct orders of Zeus, he climbed the heights of the sun and stole a single spark of divine fire, hidden within a hollow fennel stalk. When fire touched the earth, everything changed. Smoke rose from the first hearths, and the darkness of the night was finally broken. But on the heights of Olympus, Zeus watched the glow of the human world with a cold, simmering rage. He knew he couldn't take the fire back without looking like a tyrant, so he planned a different kind of punishment. A punishment that would look like a gift. A punishment named Pandora. Zeus summoned Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith, and gave him a command.
Create a being of such perfection that even the gods will be dazzled, my lord.
Hephaestus took earth and water, molding the first mortal woman. But she was not merely a statue. She was a vessel for the gods' agendas. Each god gave her a Dora, a gift. Aphrodite gave her unmatched beauty and a grace that could melt the hardest heart. Hermes gave her the power of speech and a shameless mind filled with curiosity and cunning. Athena clothed her in silver robes and taught her the arts of the loom. Finally, Zeus breathed life into her and named her Pandora, the all-gifted. But as a final touch, Zeus handed her a heavy, ornate jar, the Pithos. "Never open this," he whispered, knowing full well that the curiosity Hermes had planted in her brain would make that command impossible to obey. Zeus sent Pandora as a bride to Epimetheus, the brother of Prometheus. Now, Prometheus was forethought. He could see the trap. He had warned his brother,
"Never accept a gift from the king of the gods."
but Epimetheus was afterthought. He lived only in the present. When he saw Pandora standing at his door, glowing with the radiance of Aphrodite, he forgot every warning. He saw her not as a weapon, but as a miracle. They were married in a celebration that seemed to herald a new age of peace between gods and men. For a time, they lived in a paradise. But the jar, the Pithos, sat in the corner of their home like a silent predator. Pandora would stare at it for hours. She wondered why a god would give a gift only to forbid its use. She wondered if the jar contained a treasure so great that Zeus wanted to keep it for himself. This is the psychological core of the story. The curiosity became a physical weight. One afternoon, while Epimetheus was away, the silence in the house became deafening. Pandora approached the jar. The air seemed to grow cold. She placed her hands on the heavy lid. In that moment, the fate of the world hung in the balance. With a sharp breath, she heaved the lid open. There was no explosion, only a low, terrifying hum. From the jar, a thick black mist began to pour out, a swarm of invisible, shrieking spirits. These were the Keres: death, sickness, toil, greed, jealousy, and old age. They had been trapped by Zeus, waiting for a hand to set them free. They flew out of the windows, spreading across the earth like a plague, infecting the hearts and bodies of every human being. For the first time, humanity felt the sting of pain and the fear of the grave. Pandora, horrified, slammed the lid shut. She collapsed in tears, hearing the screams of the world outside. But then, she heard something else. A faint, golden chime coming from the bottom of the jar. She opened it one last time, very slowly. A small, glowing light fluttered out. This was Elpis, hope. Zeus had included hope in the jar not as a mercy, but as the final, cruelest trick. He knew that if humans had only suffering, they would eventually give up and die, depriving him of his worshippers. By giving them hope, he ensured they would keep struggling, keep praying, and keep suffering through the darkness, always believing that tomorrow might be better. The story of Pandora is often told as a warning against women or curiosity, but the truth is deeper. It is the story of how the world became real. Before Pandora, there was no change, no growth, and no stakes. By releasing evil, she also released the possibility of courage. Pandora was the bridge between the age of gods and the age of men. She is the reason we suffer, but she is also the reason we dream. As we look at the world today, filled with the shadows she let loose, we realize that hope, that tiny, flickering light at the bottom of the jar, is the only thing that makes the fire of Prometheus worth having.